Hello everyone, welcome back to the course Python Fundamentals Building Blocks for Aspiring Developers. So we will continue with the second module, which is data structures, first part. So for the agenda, we are on the day 6 where we will discuss about tuples, and let's begin our day 6. So tuples, what are tuples? So tuples are ordered collection of items similar to lists. They are again similar to lists, but the difference between tuples and list is that tuples are immutable. This means that they cannot be changed once they are created. We cannot add a new element, we cannot remove an element, we cannot change a particular element. Once it is created, it just remains as it is. And it can also hold different data types in one list or one tuple. So why do we not want to change a data type or not want to change data in a tuple? So that depends on use cases. So the use cases for tuples are a bit less as compared to lists, but still there are some use cases. For example, you want to keep a collection of some particular items and you do not want them to be changed at any cost, so you make them a tuple instead of a list. Now what it does is that if you accidentally try to update a value, or if you accidentally try to change a value or someone else does this, they are not able to do it. So this protects your collection of items as it is, because you're going to use it according to your use case and you want it to remain the same. So this is why we use tuples. So again, the creation is pretty similar to lists, but instead of square brackets, we use parentheses. And again, tuples remain the same as the one we create in the beginning, as you can see. And indexing is also the same for tuples, similar to lists or strings. It is the same. Again, zero index, and we can use negative indexes too. And now let's have a look at some of the tuple methods. So again, we have the length method, len, which returns the length of the tuple. Then we have the count method, which returns the number of occurrences of a specified value. So if I put in a value, I want to see, okay, how many of these values are in a tuple, I can get the count. Then we have the index, similar to list, where we can get an index of a particular value within a tuple. And then we have some slightly different methods. These are not different, but they're kind of used with a different syntax, you can say. So you can say the syntax that I'm using is the plus or asterisk sign, which is basically used for addition and multiplication. So first, let's see what is concatenation. So concatenation basically means to join two things together. So for tuples, concatenation would be to join two tuples together. It's similar to the method extend that we saw for the lists, but this time around we can use a plus operator to do this. And for repetition is that you want to repeat the tuple, like the values of tuple multiple times. So you multiply it by a particular number, like you want to repeat it 2 times, 3 times, you multiply it by that number. Now the output returned by these two is a different output, like it returns a new value. It does not change the existing tuple. For example, the print tuple 1 plus tuple 2, it does not update the tuple 1 or tuple 2, it returns a new tuple to us. Similarly for the repetition. Now this concatenation can also be used for strings or even for lists in a similar manner. We'll also have a quick look at that too. And that would be all for the theory, and let's start coding. So you want to open up VS Code, create a new file or use the same file. It's up to you. I will be using the same file. So first, let's create a tuple. So let's say my tuple is equals to this. And here I want to say 1, 4, 6, any values that we want in this, like any values that we want. So first, what we want to do, we want to see how we can do indexing, how we can access particular elements in the list. So what we want to do, we want to say print name of the tuple, which is my tuple, and in the square brackets we put in the index, which is, let's say, the value at the fifth index. Save the file, run the code using Control F5, that is the shortcut. So the value at the fifth index is 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So fifth index is 2. Again, we can try with a negative index as well. Let's say negative 4. Run the code. So again, it is negative 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Again, the value is 2. So it works perfect. Now there is um, now let's go ahead and see the methods for tuples. So the first method we want to see is the length method. So we say length, and here we put in tuple and do this. So it says, okay, the length is 9, so there are 9 values. Now a lot of functions or methods that we used for lists are not valid here, because we cannot add a new value, we cannot delete any value, we cannot remove any value. So all the methods like insert or append or pop or remove are not valid for tuples. So we do not need to understand those for tuples. So the one that we're going to look at is the count. So let's say, so in fact, let's just store it in a new value. Let's say count is equals to, or I would say count number is equals to, now I want to say my tuple dot count. What I want to count, I want to count, let me see if any of these is repeating. Let's say 1. And now I want to print here count number and do this. So now we have 2 occurrences of the value 1. You see, we can also add few more ones and just try it out. Again, it will increase it to 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 occurrences of this particular value we have. Now you see, this is also a function or a method that returns a value. It does not update anything in place. So if something returns a value, we have learned that we need to store it in a variable. We can also do a print here directly. For example, if I just copy this here and paste it here, so I'm not storing the value for this one in any variable, but still it gives me an output because the value returned is 4 and 4 can be printed using this statement. So we can also do it like this. If some value is returned, we can simply put it in print and that should work too. But let's just go a step back and keep it like this so it is easier to understand. So the next one I want to look at is the index. So I want to say index of, let's say 3, the value 3. So what is the index? Is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the value of index of the value 0. So it says it's at the 7th index. Again, the same concept as we used for list or strings. So these are just, the most commonly used methods. Now let's go ahead and look at concatenation. So for concatenation, we'll also have a look at how lists can be concatenated and how strings can be concatenated. So first, let's look at how tuples can be concatenated, and then we'll move over and see the same for lists. So I want to make it a bit shorter. My tuple 2 is equals to, this is the second tuple, so let's say 6, 9, 8, 1, and 2. And now I want to say my tuple new is equals to my tuple, and remember we use the plus operator for this one, my tuple 2. And now here I want to print out my tuple new. So the value of this operation, adding these two, would return in a new tuple. It will not update the existing ones because tuples cannot be updated. So if I run this code, so you see now it has created a new tuple with all these values 14638, then 63812 in the same order, Again, tuples are also ordered collections, so they do not change the order. And now we can also look at the concatenation for lists. So if I say list 1, or let's say list 1 is equals to 146, and I have another list, I will just copy paste it and just change the last value. Let's say the first value 2. Do this, and I say list new is equals to list 1 plus list 2, and oops, like this. And if I print this list, it should also work the same way. 143, 247. This is how we join lists. We can always use the extend method for the lists too, but that will update this one. But if we do not want to update any of the lists, we just want a new list, we can use this plus operator, and that will join the two lists and will return a new one. Again, if I put list 2 here and list 1 here, it should be the other way around. You see 247, this one is first, this one is now second, and similarly we can do for strings too. So let's say str1 is equals to John, and then we have str2 is equals to, let's say, do, and I say str1 plus str2. Now again, this is the same exact thing. If something returns me something, like if an operation or an expression returns me something, I can put it directly in the print statement. So now if I execute the code, so it says John Doe. You see it does not put any spaces in between, it will just join them as it is. I can also do it without a variable. For example, I say John plus, then I put a space and I say Doe. So what should it do? So it should concatenate these two. So if I do this, so it says John Doe. So this is like a quick way of joining different strings, and this becomes very handy. This is used quite a lot in different use cases. Um, and if I try to do like this with a number, it will show an error. Can only concatenate string to string. It cannot join a number to a string. So for example, if I want to really join a number, what I need to do? I need to convert it to a string. So let's say string, and then this, and then let's see what it says. So now it says John 2 because it converted this number 2 into a string. So this is how we can play around, and just for the sake of output we can change this to a string, so we can concatenate these. So this is how concatenation works in programming. So let's move these, and now what I want to do is I want to see the repetition. So I say my tuple multiplied by 3, and here I will say my tuple new and do this and run the code. So you see it has copied this tuple 3 times. 14638, 14638, then again 14638, then again 14638. Now this same syntax can also be used for lists, can also be used for strings. If you want to, for make them repeat, but this is not too widely used, but still it's good to know that you have this functionality. So this was all in this lecture, and go ahead, practice out tuples, lists, and try to remember what is the difference between lists and tuples, and think of ways where you would need a tuple instead of a list, and keep on practicing, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.